What are conditions like there?
Well, we're hearing about gusts of winds up to 137 kilometers an hour. You can see it's kind of blowing around. There's a great amount of rain, of course, coming down. So far, it sounds like the storm isn't as powerful as was feared. It got a signal 8 warning coming from the Hong Kong Observatory. The fear was that it would go all the way up to 10, which has only happened twice in the last 17 years. That has not been the case. The Hong Kong Observatory saying that it lost some of its power when it made landfall. You can see how people have made preparations, for example, taping up the windows of glass doors and things. The seas are a bit higher. We're hearing that the waters are up at least half a meter right now. The authorities here aren't taking any chances. Schools have been canceled for Tuesday, and they've opened shelters for people as well, storm shelters. So you get a sense of the way this operates here. Hong Kong is used to these kinds of typhoons, so much of the city will likely be closed today with shops shuttered and people, for the most part, trying to stay off of the streets. There have also been a lot of warnings, basically, for people in these high-rise buildings to make sure that they don't have any loose things on their balconies that, of course, could get blown off and do a great deal of damage with this kind of wind blowing down and hitting people. But one of the other warnings is also about possible flooding in low-lying areas. That's another concern here. But again, you've got this densely populated city, Hong Kong, that has a lot of experience with typhoons in the past, and for now appears not to have been hit by as hard a storm as the authorities had been warning. Now, meanwhile, the storm will be moving closer to mainland China, which has issued its first red alert due to the storm of this year. And that Chinese coast, much more densely populated, and so there'd be a concern there about the possibilities of flooding as well. And we're just going to give you a look here, Amra, if you're still with me, at the sea here, just to get a sense. I mean, this is a port city. So one of the concerns, of course, is of high seas and what they can do. Hong Kong is a collection of more than 200 islands, 700 kilometers of coastline. So you can see that some areas could be more vulnerable to these types of conditions. But for now, again, we don't see any kind of flooding in this part of the western part of Hong Kong. Amra, back to you.
Ivan, you say Hong Kong is used to these kinds of storms, but in terms of preparations, you know, what kind of preps have been made in advance of the storm? You say one of the concerns, obviously, flooding, especially in those low-lying areas. Have there been mandatory evacuations?
In this case, people were being warned to go home early from school, that was, and from their jobs. There were more than 150 flights canceled as well, and warnings for boaters, for people on ships to bring their vessels in to safer areas. So these are some of the kind of examples. Canceling schools, for example, is another measure that Hong Kong will take in these types of situations. And we've heard about kind of interdepartmental agencies kind of coming together to help deal with any potential emergencies that'll come out of here. So this is, again, a city that has experienced deadly storms over the course of the past century. This storm didn't reach that level 10 that would have been very unusual. Again, it's only happened twice in the last 17 years. But that said, the Hong Kongers aren't taking any chances, and there are reasons why. I mean, look at the skyscrapers here, the high rises. Areas like this, people have been warned to tie down any kind of furniture up on their balconies, because you can just imagine what would happen if some of these things came flying down. Hong Kong is a city that uses bamboo scaffolding a lot. That's another concern, that some of the bamboo could get pulled down by the wind. And just get a sense of, even though it's not a level 10 storm, which again is so rare, it's a level 8. I mean, we're getting sprayed by salt water here coming into my mouth. So you get a sense of the power of a storm like this coming through here, a city of some 7 million people. and it has to be taken very, very seriously. So canceling school, very important, because you can imagine a child could get blown over by wind this strong.